Hello friends, myself Shrirang Korde. In this video, we are going to take a look at how do I draw patterns. So if I want to draw patterns, that means now I need to first understand what exactly that pattern is, and then what logic or the way in which I am going to develop it, I need to dissect it. So let's do that now. So here now you can see there is a pattern that has been shown here. Now here you will look at it, there is 1, then after that in the second line or in the second row you will see there is 1, 2. There in the third line there is 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and all that. So if this is the pattern that I want to draw, then let's try to see the observations. First is there are few lines that I need to draw. Now when I say few lines, that means this is the first line, this is the second line, this is the third, fourth and fifth. That means I need to draw 5 lines. In each line, you have basically a number that increases. That means there is some correlation between the line and the number that basically I want to show. So here you look at it, there is 1, then there are 2 elements, that is say 1, 2. Then you have 3 elements in third line. Then in the fourth line or in the fourth row you have 4 elements. Then in the fifth row you have 5 elements. So that's essentially the relation one can think of. Apart from that, a very simple thing is there is a space between each number that has been shown. It's not like it is basically clubbed together or it's like sticking together. There is a space. So that means if I consider these 3 aspects, then I should be able to draw this particular pattern. So let's now try to see how one can draw this particular pattern. So here you will find there is an empty file and with only main and return 0 return, and now one needs to basically code here. Okay, so how do I do that? Now let's get into it. So you require 2 variables. First is one is I and j. Why? Because I we will use to control rows. So I we will use to control rows, or essentially what I called as lines. Okay, so that's essentially the thing. And then j we will use basically as part of putting the number. Why? Because here you will see this is the first row, then in the second row there are 2 elements, in the third row there are 3 elements. I told you. That means now you need to have another loop or another for loop which will essentially keep on putting or printing these numbers which are part of each line. So essentially j will be used to tackle j for printing. I will just put it in very small words, print numbers on each row or line by line, basically the print numbers line by line or row by row wise. That is what we basically are trying to do. So if I now write a loop which will be first how many lines I want, so for that I will use I. So for I is equal to 1, to say I less than equal to 5. Why? Because there are 5 lines we want to print, and then I am going to increment I by 1. Now we will have the second loop, and in the second loop basically we will use j. Now the interesting thing is j there is 1, then there is 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3 like that. That means I will have to start j is equal to 1, and then basically now you will look at it, there is a relation between, like here when I is 1, j is 1, when I is 2, the j is 2. That means now j anyway will start with 1 and it should end with I. Okay, so that is very important. So j less than equal to I, and then obviously j plus plus. So having done these things, that means the loops we have done, now comes the easier part. What is that easier part? The easier part is we simply can use printf. I am purposefully giving a curly bracket as part of this, as such it's not required. Okay, so we can simply say %c and we want to print this number j using a character. Okay, and then now we want to print this number, and then I'll just go little forward, and then I will tell you when will I use character. Okay, so right now we want to print numbers. Print numbers. Okay, so here you will see it is going to print 1, 2, 3 like that. Why? Because J will start with 1, it will end with first it will end with 1, then it will end with 2, then it will end with 3 like that. Why? Because the ending is I. Okay, so let's now run this code, and then obviously we require to have next line, otherwise it will not happen. Okay, so that is the basic requirement, otherwise it will happen in the same line. Okay, so you need to go to the next line. So now let's try to run this program. Yeah, so you will see 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. So now we are able to generate the pattern. Now what is little small thing which is missing, which I told you, like we are able to generate rows, no issues. We are able to generate 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 sorry 1 1 2, then 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. So every line whatever we wanted we got. Now the only thing is that it's all basically there is no space in the, in between. It is sort of stuck together. So what we can do is we can simply use a small use a space, and then we can run this. So yeah, so we could do it. So 1, 1, 2, 3 and all that. So that way we solve this problem, which otherwise probably for the first time somebody may think, oh, what is this I want to print. So it becomes very easy if you are able to divide this problem into multiple small things, and we are able to tackle it. Now let's try to have another problem, and another problem will be on the similar lines, where we want to generate another pattern. Okay, by the time we go to the next problem, we can basically improvise on this. So let me just improvise on this problem, and I want to now basically I don't want to print 1 2 3, but I want to print say star. Then what I can do is I can just use star here. Okay, so my job is done. However, I cannot use percentage dy because now I want to print it as a character. Okay, so here I will say print char because I want to print as a character. So after I have done this, let's execute this program. Yeah, so you can see this star coming, and we are able to generate. So that means now this star is just one more place. You could have some other numbers. In case you want to have say plus, then you can always have plus, and then you can print it, and you will get all plus plus plus. So that's the way typically you will have the things which can be solved. That means you can generate patterns either using numbers or using character as per your choice. Okay. So now we will proceed, and we will basically improvise on this. So let us say that I want to create a pattern which is something like 1 2, you will see 1 2 3, then 4 5 6. That means in the first row there is one, only one. In the second row there are again two elements, but 2 3. Then in the third row there are three elements, 4 5 6. In the fourth row you will see there are four elements, 7 8 9 10. That means each per row there is only per row you have as per the row number element. Okay, so now we can understand it. What is the second learning from this is there is a space. So let me go to this one, and let me copy this for the time being. So let us say this is the pattern, and I am just copying it here. Okay, so this is the pattern we wanted. Okay, so that means now if I just want to basically draw something and understand it properly, so what exactly is happening? So you have this sort of rectangle. So let me just show you this rectangle. Here there is some entry, then here there is another entry. So here you will find some entry, here you will find some entry. Let me make it little bigger. Okay, so here you will find some entry, here you will find some entry. Then you are going to have three entries here like that. Okay, so obviously like that. What is the main thing I am trying to tell you? So that means the main thing I am trying to tell you, from this boundary there is a space. Then from this boundary there is a space, from this boundary there is a space, like that there is a space. Okay, so if I just try to draw a rectangle in above this whatever the number, then you will find so you will find now here there is a space. Here you will find there is a space, there is a space, here also there is some space. The point is, first is number of lines. So what we are trying is lines. Okay, so one is lines, number of lines. So that we anyway know. The second is space. This is very important. We want to control now the space. Then only we are able to have this sort of structure. Okay, and then obviously we need to print the numbers. Okay, so these are the three things, and the third is obviously the numbers which the that one needs to print per line or per row. So if I want to achieve this, then obviously I need to think on these lines. Okay, so number of lines, I think we now know how do you do that. The only thing now we need to understand is how do I control these spaces and accordingly print this one. So let's now try to develop that. So here first thing is I will use integer I, then j, and basically we will require spaces. So I will have spc for spaces. Why? Because we need to control spaces. Okay. So let us say that I will control initial value of spaces to be 40. We can play with this and I will show you how do you do that. Okay. And then you basically have a loop. Okay. So what loop you will do? For I is equal to 1 to I less than 5. Okay, if I want 4, then that is good enough, and then I plus plus. Okay, right now we will think of only 4 rows. Okay, so I have initialized spaces and I have basically taken this loop which will control number of lines or number of rows essentially. This is rows. Okay, now what we want to basically control the thing which will basically change the number of spaces. So to for the spaces, I require a counter variable. Okay, so let me use a counter variable which basically will be L, I, J, K, L. Okay, so I can use K and L. Okay, so I'll keep it K ready if required, and then I will use L. Okay, so now if I want to control the number of spaces, I will have a loop, and then I will start with L is equal to 1. Why? Because I will start with the first row and then it should go till this many spaces. Okay, and then I should decrement. Why? Why should I decrement? Because I just showed you here the spaces decrease. That is very important. Here you had the maximum spaces, say 40. Then here it will reduce. Then here it will reduce. Here it will reduce like that. So it's your decision by how much step you want to reduce. Okay. So let's do that. So here I will have a loop and I will have L variable which will be equal to less than equal to spaces and then L plus plus. So with this basically I can have a printf, and the printf is doing what? It's just going to print spaces, nothing. Okay, that's why we want the triangle or that particular pattern to be shifted. So and there is a space, so that is what it will print space. So this is used for printing spaces. Because space is a character, so we are just printing that. Okay, now comes very important point. Once you have printed, you in the next iteration, next thing you need to reduce the spaces. So we can reduce the space is equal to space minus 2. We can reduce it by 2 and we can play with this. Okay, because right now we will reduce the step. That means the step here reduce steps, reduce spaces by a particular step. So here right now the step is 2. Okay, we can play with this and we can work on this. Okay, now comes the third loop. The third loop is what? So you basically will have a third loop, and the third loop will basically we will use j, because I didn't use j, so we will use j. J is free for us, so j is equal to 1. Then once again the same logic that we have seen earlier also, so j less than I, here no issues, and then j plus plus. And here we will have a curly bracket, and in this curly bracket now I can have printf. In that I will have percentage %d and k. The k we require, why? Because otherwise how do I print 1, 2, 3? That's why I had basically this k in between. Okay, so now k we need to initialize. So how do I initialize k? So basically we will say k is equal to 1. So we need to initialize k is equal to 1. Why? Because we want to print, here you will see 1, then 2, 3. That means k will increment. So this is the place where we will use k. So j is equal to 0, j is equal to 1 to j less than I, and then we are going to print k values, and then obviously we need to increment k. That's it. So we are done. So this is for the first this one. So this is the one line. To print one line we have done all this jugglery. So now we will have printf, and then in the printf we will have \n, so that next line you can print peacefully. Okay. So here it's the end of for loop, and then you have the return 0. Okay. So let's first see this, and then we will improvise on this properly. Yeah, so now you will see it has got screwed up. Why? The reason is I wanted like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it printed everything what we wanted correctly. So no issues. Okay. We wanted 1, then on the left there is a space. So now here what we achieved, 1 was correctly printed, 2 has come correctly, 4 has come correctly, and 7 has come correctly. So that means the left hand side, that means this portion, whatever I was showing you on the slide. So this particular thing, this left side, that particular thing came correctly. Why? Because we properly controlled the spaces. Now what we didn't properly control is the space in between. If you control the space in between, automatically it will get adjusted. That why? Because everywhere you are, there is a space. Say between space, there is a space between 2, 3, then space between 4, 5, then 5, 6. Similarly, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, like that. So you have a space. So I basically didn't do that. So we will now control that. So what we do? You basically control the way in which you are going to print. So you want to have a bigger space. So let's say that I will give 3 or 4. Okay, let's say that I will give a more space here. Instead of just one space, I want to have 3D. Okay, so essentially that much of place it will take. So let's see this. Yeah, so it's improvised now. You will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means 3 probably is not the right way. So you can control it using 4. Yeah, so it looks quite neat now. 1, 2, 3 and all that. Okay. Now that's the way typically you control. Now the question is, why did I do this? I could have done it as 3 or 4 or 5, whatever. Okay. So I can always play with this, with these spaces, and then you will see this got screwed up. Why? Because now again the left hand side came properly, but then accordingly I need to manage the space in between the between the numbers. Okay, so that's why better is to keep either 2 and 2 or 1. We can try this 1. Again I feel there is will be, yeah, so 1 is also quite okay, but 2 probably is the right approach, and it gives us a almost what we wanted. Okay, so it gives the triangle or the structure that we want to draw basically comes correctly. So this is what we wanted to draw, and it showed that particular thing correctly. So like that, one can basically keep trying and keep understanding how the things work with respect to this one. Then we can play with these spaces and all that. Okay, otherwise you could give 2 spaces, and then probably accordingly you can reduce this and all that. So all those plus minus things, few things here and there, you can always work. I hope you like this examples. So first one was relatively easy, where we didn't control too much of spaces, but it was more of printing such a pattern either with star or 1, 2, 3. The second was a little complex, I will say, and we solved that problem of printing the triangle. Thank you.